the Russian troops don't have good morale. I mean, that's come out of defectors, that's come out of people deserting and posting videos online saying how, they've been badly treated by their officers, how they, didn't even know they were going to war. They thought they were on exercises, and then, the next day they were told they were actually going to invade Ukraine, and they were unprepared and certainly unprepared for the resistance they face.
Ukraine's counterattack continues to gain momentum as Russian forces have withdrawn from key eastern towns. President Zelensky claims that Ukraine has now liberated 700 square miles from Russia since the start of this new offensive. Ukrainian officials say troops entered Kupiansk, a vital eastern supply hub for Russian forces, on Saturday. Well, let's get the very latest with Richard Spencer, the Times correspondent who's in Kharkiv in Ukraine. Morning, Richard.
Good morning.
So what do we know about this Ukrainian offensive? Is this a case of Russian forces just capitulating?
In parts, yeah. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. There's been this sort of very tough offensive in the south for the last 2 weeks, which some people are now describing as a feint. I think it was more than a feint, but certainly the Russians had reinforced the front line in the south around the city of Kherson and weakened their front lines in the east. Sort of a reflection that, Russian manpower isn't all it's cracked up to be. And so there was this sort of start of an offensive aimed to capture a town called Balaklia, just southeast of where I am in Kharkiv now. And they fought their way into this town on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then the Russian lines just seem to have collapsed around there, and they've carried on east and southeast from there. I mean, they've taken this town, Kupiansk, which is a key sort of railway junction, which was very important for the Russian supply lines. On Friday, they took the city of Izium, or yesterday morning, not quite sure, Friday night, early Saturday morning, they took the city of Izium, where they've been, the Russians have been for months. And incredibly, I don't know if you remember, a couple of months ago, we were talking about this very, very slow and painful and violent and destructive battle for two cities called Severodonetsk and Lysychansk on the side of the Severodonetsk River. You'll have seen pictures of the incredible destruction there as the Russians slowly took that city, those two cities, sort of inch by inch over a period of weeks and months. Within 4 days, the Ukrainians are now back in those two cities. We believe there's still fighting going on in both of them this morning, but that's what we're going to try and find out later.
We know that the Russian forces, or the Russian Defence Ministry, is saying, the Russian forces have withdrawn, they're going to regroup. Do we have a sense of whether that is going to happen and then there will be a counteroffensive? Or is this significant that Ukraine is pushing them back?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't an orderly withdrawal, as that's incredible statement from the Russian general staff yesterday that kind of hinted, partly because they said they're going to go and reinforce Donetsk, but in the meantime, the Russians had broken through the Kharkiv front into Donetsk itself. As I say, they've gone well beyond what appeared to be their initial targets. They actually seized Donetsk airport. There's the city of Donetsk at the heart of this Donbass region, which is the key area that the Russians have been fighting Ukraine for since 2014. The Ukrainians took the main airport yesterday, so it may be a bit late to reinforce those lines there, but I'm sure they will do. I'm sure that's what their aim is.
Why is this the situation for Russia? Is this to do with poor supplies, lack of military equipment, low morale?
That's a good question, which is ultimately for the historians to decide. War is a very funny business. It's very unpredictable. You can make no gains for weeks, or be going backwards very, very slowly for weeks, and then one push, you find a weak spot in the line and you pour through, and then you caught the defending force at a loss. The aim is the aim is to put the defending force in a position where they don't know whether to go left or right because, they don't quite know what's happening. And that seems to have been what happened in this case. We do think, there has always been talk from the beginning of the operation, the military operation, as the Russians call it, that the Russian troops don't have good morale. That's come out of defectors, that's come out of people deserting and posting videos online saying how, they've been badly treated by their officers, how they, didn't even know they were going to war. They thought they were on exercises, and then, the next day they were told they were actually going to invade Ukraine, and they were unprepared and certainly unprepared for the resistance they faced. So I think there is a morale problem, but it's hard to be definitive about what's caused this particular collapse now, because on other fronts, the Russians have held up quite well.
Well, that was the next question, really. Sort of where does this leave us in relation to the progress of the war and the progress of Ukraine in pushing back Russia in the round? If we're looking at it as the big picture across the country, how significant is this move?
Yeah, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. These are, at the moment you have two very deep thrusts into Russian territory in the far east of the country. Following a sort of period where the Ukrainians were pushing forward slowly on a couple of fronts. So Russians still have a huge amount of territory, and quite a lot of their defenders, as I say, are holding firm. But there is a possibility that you could see, pockets of Russian troops cut off. And if they manage to take, the Ukrainians take, a lot of prisoners of war. I think those pictures, if you do get pictures out of streams of prisoners of war, that does have a sort of a morale effect on other parts of the line as well. So I think a lot depends now on how much Russian morale holds up on other parts of the front.
Thank you ever so much, Richard. Thank you for speaking to us as ever.
All right, that's a pleasure.
That is Richard Spencer, the Times correspondent, who is in Kharkiv at the moment in Ukraine.